Obrigada, Sr. Stephen, pela sua apresentação. Agora nós vamos dar início ao painel Estratégias orientadas por dados para engajamento e gerenciamento de riscos do iGaming. Então eu convido ao palco o moderador, Sr. Edward Dickerson, o co-founder of Greco. Please, Edward, come to the stage. Convido também os participantes, Sr. Andrew Foster, Chief Business Officer of Enteractive. Sr. Jean-Luc Ferrière, MD Americas, Fast Track, please. Senhora Olga Resiga, Chief Business Development Officer, SOFTSWISS. E Sr. Ozric Volvervelden, CEO of Greco, please.
There's only one.
No, we have other one.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, Brazil. It's amazing to be here. So today we have a really fantastic panel. We have some fantastic panelists who are all absolute experts in their field. And today we'll be talking about data strategies, and the future of data in relation to player engagement. So I'm not going to introduce everyone because I think they'll do a far better job than myself. So if we dive straight into the first question, and feel free to introduce yourselves as you go down. But if we start with a really kind of nice entry question today with what makes data so important and what's your unique perspective? Should we start with, go ahead.
Hello. Hi, I'm Andrew Foster. I'm the Chief Business Officer of Enteractive. I started my career out in Africa for 10 years, and now I reside in Malta. Enteractive is a company that focuses on reactivating and converting players that are out of the reach of operators. So once your CRM cycles have failed, we come in and we call your players and have a one-to-one conversation to get them playing again. And we make sure that they re-engage with you and drive a positive ROI. Player data, as you can imagine, is very important to us because we have unscripted calls with each individual player. The more we know about your player, the more personalized that approach can be. And obviously, the more loyalty we can build within those iterations of conversations with those players. So data is obviously very important. But over and above that, what we do is we are able to actually speak to those players and provide a lot of feedback from what they tell us while we engage with them, which helps you optimize the way that you do business and changes the way that you can bring players on board and keep them loyal.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I am Jean-Luc Ferrière, the Managing Director Americas for Fast Track. Fast Track is a CRM SaaS company focusing specifically on this industry, which is unique. Our vision is to digitalize the iGaming industry and deliver the first self-learning engagement platform. We have a global network of really loyal partners already. Specifically, why we're here is we're actually having a growing portfolio in Brazil and Latin America, and we're looking forward to seeing that grow over the next few years. In terms of data, I think, as Andy had said, it's pretty obvious that anybody who's trying to do any kind of engagement or reach out to a customer or consumer in any kind of way really relies on quality and available information to be able to do that properly. And so for me, why data is really important is it's pretty much the backbone of any customer engagement journey, and that's what we build our systems off of.
Hello, my name is Olga Resiga and I'm Chief Business Development Officer at SOFTSWISS. SOFTSWISS is a company which provides top-notch solutions for the gaming industry, casino platform, sports betting platform, affiliate platform. So we're pretty aware why data is so important because we have lots of partners who want to have a unique product, and we keep creating features based on data-driven strategies to help our operators make to help make unique strategies to engage players. And it's also really important for risk management as well. And actually we are famous for our risk management, and all the tools we have are based on the historical data and the real-time data we collect for our operators.
Hey, you working?
No.
You can take mine.
Hey, my name's Ozric Volvervelden, CEO and co-founder of Greco. So our background is actually consultancy, advising on all areas of risk management. So things like bonus abuse, helping operators with fraud rules, verification processes, bonus engine logics, and so on. So we work with over 40 operators in this capacity, and we always felt like we only managed to achieve half the job because we'd run into data science resource limitations, dev resource limitations, even just trying to get consensus across many departments can be quite challenging. So this actually led to us developing our own software solution, which is Greco that we have today, out of just sheer frustration at the quality of data in this industry. My opinion is that we have quite poor data integrity as an industry. And I think it's incredibly important. You know, it is the backbone of this industry. It is a technology industry after all, and you're only as good as the data you have.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's brilliant introductions and great to hear around your insights on data. But we all know it's not plain sailing when it comes to data. It'd be great to get a quick idea, either from the viewpoint of your own company or perhaps from the industry wide, of what kind of barriers, what kind of obstacles do you find with data? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. So my background, I've pretty much had my whole career in this industry going back 24 years. So I've had the benefit and the curse in some ways of experiencing it from platform aggregation and now into fast-track CRM side. And I would say one of this actually connected to what Ozric was saying just now, one of the single biggest obstacles to this industry is the number of players and participants in the player journey, the systems that are involved, and in a lot of ways the disjointed nature in which data is applied and translated and shuffled through these systems creates quite it's not a smooth customer experience, having to orchestrate across those many systems and different data points, lack of standardization, and availability. I would say all those things combined, it's not one obstacle, it's there's quite a few things that are challenging for us as an industry.
So I can share some of my experiences with data issues. I mean, we have a problem, like you say, Jean-Luc, with aggregated data. We work with one particular operator that had, I mean, their losses were measured in the millions of euros to a form of abuse that played into their lack of granularity. It meant that this process of abuse basically went undetected for years. Until we were able to spot it. And there's many different stories like this, right? There's just mislabeling. Like the industry has a problem with tagging on a transactional level whether a bet is incentivized or not. You know, just an odds boost looks like any other bet, or a qualifying bet looks like any other cash bet. And so trying to even measure the level of incentivization a player has is near impossible in most cases with most operators and platforms. So, I mean, I could go on, but there's there's a serious lack of data integrity in that regard. I think there's also a lot of data silos. A big problem we see is like you have your fraud products, which are measuring risk upon registration and login, right? Device fingerprinting, looking at cookie device and browser information. If a player comes through and they score 9 out of 10, right? They still get through the door, but then the risk score starts again with their gameplay, right? These risks should be carried forward, right? And that's true with verification, fraud, gameplay, CRM, and so on.
I just want to add one other thing as well, actually, as Oz was talking, is I'm constantly surprised on the number of systems that are not real time as well in terms of data, that there's some form of a latency in some way or another where you're talking about massively after the fact interventions on player experiences, which really does surprise me given all the tech that's available to us.
Just to add on it, from our perspective, the quality of data that we get from a lot of operators is very questionable. But another thing that's coming into the market now is crypto casinos, where you get very little player data. And obviously for a service such as ours, which is third party, if you don't have any details on that player, it makes it quite difficult to reach out to them to give them a personalized approach. You can only base it on certain criteria, which is measurements, gameplay, verticals, and things like that. But obviously you just got to find ways around it, being a third-party provider.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really interesting knowing that you'll provide such fantastic services, even though we have these great barriers when it comes to technology and to data. The online gambling industry it's a tech industry, and it'd be really interesting if anyone has any viewpoints on how we compare as an industry to other industries, taking that into account.
Yeah, I'll jump in again. So, I mean, as I said, my experience is almost exclusively in this industry, so this is probably more of just a personal, more subjective viewpoint. But if I think about the way that we work every day with data, the single thing that sort of stands out for me is, as an industry, we both have millions of players as well as millions of transactions happening every second, every day, whereas other online businesses probably, I would expect, are very different in that way, where, taking in Amazon, for example, where sure they've got millions of players, millions of consumers, but they probably only have like 1 or 2 transactions a day. So the compounding effect of multiple millions of users as well as multiple millions of transactions, I think, it's probably sets us apart above most other industries.
Just based on what you're saying, I think we're a little bit behind, because if you think of all those transactions happening all the time, we should have more data points and more ability to analyze that data and be more personalized. And I think from our perspective, in the past, we've been quite slow to actually take those data points and make them really, really key to giving a player the correct journey. I think guys like Fast Track and Greco and the likes of SOFTSWISS are now starting to sort of bring those things to the forefront and give us a much better ability to actually re-engage those players at times where it makes sense, and with the right sort of offer and engagement to actually make the guys stay and play with you.
But still, I would also would like to add that there is still place to grow, because there is lots of information we collect for now, and as we see from our perspective, we collect lots of data. But what we should learn is how to analyze this data, how to properly analyze, and how to have a 100% outcome from this.
So we're living in an era where we have like self-driving cars and AI applied to genomics and genome sequencing, and like the world's going crazy, right? My concern is that the industry might be left behind. I think the application of AI is only as good as the kind of source data, the data that you're starting with. And I think there's some really fundamental basics we're missing. Something we're quite focused on is the theoretical value of a player, like the value of a player based on probability instead of outcome. Like I think if you asked any kind of layman or person that doesn't work in the industry, like what would be the core data point you would make decisions on? It'd be the value of a player, right? And of course they don't mean what they won when they were lucky, they mean what they should have won. I think this is fundamental to to your journey, Jean-Luc, in terms of understanding how to fully customize for a player and what size bonus to give them. I think it's fundamental to rule creation with fraud products, by understanding the value associated with each data point, right? Another one is just volatility. Like there is no standardized metric of volatility in the industry currently, which I would probably argue is the single most important kind of data point to look at if you're to like recommend a game, right, is the maths of the game. So I think there's a lot that needs to be done. That we're working really hard to basically try and fill that gap, make sure that the data's there to allow the industry to kind of flourish.
So we say then that one of the comparable differences is the lack of standardization, right, compared to other industries where any game provider, any platform, any third-party service provider all has a slight nuance on even what they call the game name versus a betting transaction. Those are all sort of kind of made up as they go along in a lot of ways, right?
Like volatility as an example is the labeling systems we have now are like highly subjective. Like if you were to kind of picture volatility as a scale, it would be a scale of 0 to infinite. So like to try and place high in that scale is subjective in itself, right? But also it's not a kind of one-dimensional scale, it's a two-dimensional chart, right? You can have both high and low volatility in a game, which is kind of something you can't represent in a 5-star rating, or so these are some of the problems we have.
Cool. I really love where this conversation's going. Andrew, Olga, do you have any specific data points that you find are really, really key for you guys to help you engage with your players?
I mean, there is a huge volume of data we should collect about the players, especially about the players' in-game activities, players' games preferences, transactions they made, win-loss patterns, and all this info. We try to collect it to give an opportunity and to create the tools to give our partners and operators opportunity to create unique strategies and to highlight and to understand the player's persona from the very beginning, so that they can understand the high roller when he signs up, not when he is making like a huge deposit, and to motivate them to stay there. I mean, to engage them more, especially to enrich their in-game activities. Like, for example, based on the data we have from the players and some specific regions, we launched Jackpot Aggregator, which is quite popular in Latin America, actually, in Africa. So, and it definitely was based on data-driven strategy. Because it was kind of A/B testing on some kind of games, because we also have under our umbrella some game providers, so it was A/B testing, and now we provide it as an engagement tool, which influence on the players' engagement, lifetime value, and so on.
From our perspective, we view it a little bit differently. So we utilize all those touch points when we're reaching out to a player so we can have a very personalized conversation. Having unscripted calls, part of what we actually do is try to get feedback for you as an operator, so that you get to know more insights directly from that player. So most communication, SMS and email, is generally one way, so you don't really get the feedback from the player. But we've got people speaking to tens of thousands of players every single day, having a one-to-one conversation with native speakers. And what these guys are able to do is get an understanding of why your players stopped playing with you, why your players didn't actually make a deposit even though they registered on your site. And all this information, what we do is we gather it and we feed it back to you so you can make better decisions and you can actually optimize your player journeys on going forward. So we view data a little bit differently, where we can actually bring data back for operators to optimize their operations.
Thank you very much. I think we're flying through the questions, so feel free to elaborate a little bit more on this one. So really, I think we have pretty good understanding of the challenges we have with data, the power of the things that we can do with data. I just want to have a little look forward into the next couple of years or so into the future, and have a little discussion around really where you see we going with data. Is there any data or any technology that works around data that you really see being hugely empowering for the industry as we go forward? Is there anything specifically on your wish list that you would absolutely just love to have for yourself or for the industry to really help drive us forward?
I'll go again. You need more of us. No, Fast Track is predicated on the ability to service our partners with real-time, accessible information. So it is, for us, it's really important that we're developing the right amount of tools and products to make best use of the data available to us to drive those engagement strategies, similar to what Andy was saying before. I think it's quite easy to fall into the conversation around the direction of AI as a sort of the only answer to a question like future tech. But I think, as to Ozric's point earlier, AI is only as good as the information coming into it. Our focus particularly really is around using AI and automation to make or help you guys as operators and partners more efficient in what you're doing, so that you can turn back to the humans again to be creative. I think that's really important. You can't just automate or use AI for the sake of it, and you can't. I wouldn't suggest looking for the gimmicks and the quick, easy wins on those sort of things. The businesses are still based on people and personal contact, and it's really important that you get back to that as a team and concentrate your planning around that.
Okay. So I kind of touched on it already with the idea of theoretical value being the value of a player based on probability. I think this can really revolutionize pretty much all decision making within an operation, right? I think understanding this kind of core metric of a player allows you to identify bonus abusers quicker, identify your VIBs quicker, it improves segmentation, it improves your reward strategy. But there's tons of applications of this. There's you can better determine the value of your affiliates, for example. You can there's so many player lifetime value models out there, and most of these I think are kind of broad views of big data. There's not much granularity on a player level, and we don't believe that you can have kind of prediction models without first understanding the current value of the player. So this is really where I see a whole load of new utility and kind of optimization kind of in the near term. This is something we're proactively working on.
From our perspective, I think AI and machine learning will definitely revolutionize the way that we engage with our players. I think with their ability to process vast quantities of data and give us really, really good touch points in terms of how we're supposed to engage with these guys will make a big difference. From Interactive's perspective, we're really trying to get a better understanding of how we communicate with these players and we run our own operation. AI doesn't only give us the ability to translate and put and transcript the actual conversations, but it also gives us the ability at the moment to understand sentiment and emotions, which we pick up within the actual conversation, and we can then tie that to words and phrases that are being said in the conversations and provide that information back to the operators. And we really believe that that's going to be the driving force going forward to understand how you're actually engaging with your players and what the feedback is.
And from our perspective, I want to add that actually, as everybody mentioned already, machine learning, AI, based on collecting all this data, it helps us to create new features. And being not only a technical partner, but being a business partner, we understand that it definitely will improve operators' performance, and it will definitely make business more predictable. Yeah, so more predictable revenue, better understanding of what business may have in the nearest future.
Yeah, I think you combine all these things, right? And any tech that comes out that helps us as an industry understand the consumer better is going to be good. I love the idea, by the way. If you combine sort of transactional data, behavioral profiling, and sentiment analysis and tech all together, that's going to be super powerful. I think the combination of those three things will be really interesting.
I think we've got 2 or 3 minutes left, but I think maybe we can squeeze in a quick 45 minutes or so and discuss the flows of data between different platforms and systems and how you can really revolutionize the industry. You can automate so much. You can create so much on the back of this, but maybe we'll do this for next year. So we do have a couple more minutes. If anyone has any closing notes, any final thoughts you want to share regarding data, regarding your experiences, we have a couple of minutes left. If not, we can maybe ask some questions from the audience.
Yeah,
Sure.
Anyone have any questions at all regarding any of the topics on display today for any of the panelists? No. Amazing. Okay, I think everyone's keen to end today's session and get to the after parties. So thank you very much for staying and listening. Thank you very much to the panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.